We are here in the Morning Joe Green Room with Vincent Vittorio and Nathaniel McGill. They are the producers and directors of American Made Movie. Guys, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having us.
So what you guys do is you empower people, inform people through nonfiction cinema, which I think is unbelievable because these days there's a big shortage of that, I think. First of all, tell me about your movie and why you think it is important, relevant.
Well, it's a movie that has the power to change the country. And while that seems like a big statement, it really is true. And when you boil it down, it becomes a personal issue for all of us. Because what we're talking about is this relationship that, whether we realize it or not, we all have with the things that are made in this country and the things that we buy every single day. There are people behind all of our products. And really, it just takes kind of opening our eyes to realize that, and that we can make a difference in all of their lives. So,
and you know, with the film, and we've had just great response where people really have changed their buying habits, or just it's opened their eyes, and something that, you know, makes us feel as we did our job as filmmakers, because people are sending us emails after this, you know, the preview screenings, and they're like, oh my gosh, I never realized this. And I think it also kind of changed us as filmmakers. So, for instance, now as consumers, we're a little more conscious looking at the label in a way that I live in California, and I'll look at an avocado from my home state before buying one from Guatemala, or even, you know, other items that I make sure that, you know, I know where it's coming from to see if I can support our country before buying something that has a different label.
So it's changing the way people think about purchasing things, really. Right. And the funny thing is that, you know, you see, I think maybe a decade ago, all of these jobs, right, and all of this manufacturing goes overseas, right? You have globalization. Things are made cheaper, you know, across the Atlantic.
Sure.
And elsewhere. And things are obviously more expensive here. What kinds of products are being made here that are important? And do you guys, from doing your film, do you guys see that more things are starting to be made in America, maybe that didn't used to be?
Absolutely. You know, I think 10, 15 years ago, maybe you couldn't find as many made-in-America goods. The consumer had sort of forgotten about it. And today we are seeing more of that come back. And when you go into the store, you can find competitively priced goods right next to other goods that are made here. But I think the real hopeful thing is that we've seen demand work in this way before. You know, if you went into a grocery store 10 years ago, you didn't see the organic brand. You didn't see the organic section of your grocery store.
Right.
And demand made that happen. So where people weren't thinking about where their, you know, chickens were at or where their free-range eggs were coming from, you know, what was organic or what was not, people started thinking about that more locally, where they're sourcing it from, farmers markets. And there's really not that big of a jump from going from, you know, your produce to where's your t-shirt made, where's your shoes come from. But we've gotten to the age where the last athletic shoe manufacturer in the country is New Balance shoes. And there's only one. And so we're right on the threshold, but it's a good spot to start from with saying, hey, we can do this. If the American consumer wakes up to this, we can have more of what we want. That's America. How
important is making goods here, manufacturing in America, to the economy or any economy?
You know, it's proven that it's what created the middle class, and I think the middle class is so important to kind of keeping things alive in this country. So with having a strong manufacturing base, it's something that has proven even in other countries. You see now in China that a middle class is developing based on the fact that so much manufacturing has come there. So I think that we're optimistic because you see a lot of things coming back or staying here. We're making it a little easier for companies to see the value of producing something. That American-made label, you know, it's really something that knocked the rust off, so to speak. I think now people are looking for things that have that brand, and it's not only in America, it's overseas as well. You see a lot of interest specifically on that 100% made in America from South Korea, from China, from Japan, and people want this because there's this sense of pride and this workmanship that goes into this quality good that's coming out of our country.
Who are these people? You know, you went across the country with your film, shooting it, I'm sure. Who are the people that are doing these manufacturing jobs, and who are the people affected by the fact that there aren't as many as there used to be?
Well, we focus on telling the story of a small manufacturer, medium-sized company, and a large company in the film to kind of get a scope of what is it like for manufacturers today to compete in this global economy. And that story is an up and down story. It's the Rocky Balboa story of manufacturing, if you will. So the film really tells that portion of things. But I think what I like to remind people of is that, sometimes we have these connotations of these companies that have been around for a long time, some of them that have left, that we have, in our minds, and we kind of forget, or we don't think about the guys that are our age that are starting up companies, and they're having to go from prototype right into trying to figure out the global landscape of outsourcing and everything like that. It's incredibly hard. It's much easier to start up and stay. And with technology that we have today, there's a lot of smaller companies that can, that can bring back manufacturing in this country just by, being American innovators and trying to put replication as a part of that recipe. And we think it's a good recipe for success. And one that's great for the economy, because these young entrepreneurs that want to make things here are starting to employ a lot of the people in their area where there aren't manufacturing jobs, where there's a lot of people working at Wendy's,
Right.
and those are better jobs that they can go into. So there might not be that old factory with 3,000 workers like there used to be, but there might be, 30, 40 smaller companies that are employing a lot of people in one area. And that's what we hope to see.
Just to piggyback on that, I think that we always look at this barometer of jobs. It's the thing that we look at as how the economy's doing.
Makes or breaks a president.
Yes,
right.
And there are jobs available, and we just don't have the trained workforce. So we were kind of skeptical in getting to the topic about the skills gap. That's something that a lot of people bring up, and we're like, well, things are really hard in different areas, but I think that we've looked at education a different way, and that going to a trade school or learning a craft like that is something that doesn't necessarily hold the weight of a 4-year institution. But ultimately, these are jobs that people can get paid a good wages, and that there's demand for it. I know when we were on the floor of a lot of factories, we see machines sitting there, and the floor manager says, "You see that? That's $60,000 a year, but I don't have someone to put there." And so when you see these numbers of woe of this, all these jobs are gone. There are jobs there. We just don't have the trained workforce. So I think that's in a certain respect makes you feel positive
Getting
about
folks
it.
educated and wanting to go into those open careers.
Do you guys feel optimistic after your film?
Absolutely.
Definitely. I think you're going to see a lot of companies coming back now. I mean, you look at what happened with, we brought up obviously New Balance being the last Athletica shoe manufacturer. I guarantee you in 5, maybe even less than that, you'll see Nike, Adidas, one of these other companies open a plant in America, because they realize if they're going to pay a celebrity millions of dollars to endorse something, that all they have to do is employ Americans to have a factory here. I mean, it's a great PR campaign. People feel good about our country and about supporting things that are made here. So Tom's shoes, you're familiar with the...
Yeah, Tom's, of course.
People put money towards that because not only are they buying something for themselves, but they're helping someone else. So imagine if we could say maybe we're not helping someone in another country, but our own community. I mean, how important is that? We have to stick together on a local level, on a state level, and then a national level. And so if we can look at that and kind of come together, I think we really could change things and turn things around in this country.
Where can people find American Made Movie? Where can they watch it?
Absolutely. You can go to our website, theamericanmademovie.com. We come out in theaters August 30th in Atlanta and Chicago, and then we're here in New York and L.A. September 6th. And then from there, we just kind of roll out to theaters from there.
Excellent. theamericanmademovie.com. Check it out. I think you guys are great, and thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.